You know what it is, let's just get on with it. The movie, of course, opens with that awesome intro. Can't I just watch that on a loop for an hour and a half? We start at the Cobra Terrordrome, where Cobra Commander is getting verbally assaulted by Serpentor and the other leaders of Cobra. For you new and or casual fans of G.I. Joe, allow me to give you some quick backstory about Serpentor. In the beginning of Season 2 of Sunbow's G.I. Joe series, the members of Cobra were finally fed up with their commander and decided it was time for a change. Cobra's science officer, Dr. Mindbender, decided if they can't find a better leader, they'll just make one. So he constructed a fully grown, fully sentient man by harvesting the DNA of history's greatest generals and tyrants. Thus Serpentor was born, and he would remain the leader of Cobra from then on. Fans often like to argue who was the better leader, Serpentor or Cobra Commander. It's kind of like the old Kirk versus Picard argument, except they're bad guys, and this is somehow more pathetic. But regardless of who you preferred, Serpentor was still an awesome concept. Anyway, Cobra Commander continues to receive his roasting.
We had won, but you countermanded my order.
Your meddling brought us defeat again and again and again.
You're not just a fool, you're Cobra's curse.
Inept, insufficient,
Inexcusable,
Unsubstantiated fantasy! Lies! Lies!
Yeah, call me when you're voiced by Charlie Adler.
Work against me, and I will cut you like a fish.
Awesome. Suddenly, an intruder infiltrates the Terrordrome and starts taking out Cobra's forces. Yeah, like that's hard to do. Eventually, the intruder makes it to Serpentor, and she reveals herself.
I have seen you before. In a dream.
In my pants.
She identifies herself as Pythona, great name by the way, and she tells him that they need to steal a device called the Broadcast Energy Transmitter. Cut to the Joes working on the device, in the Himalayas for some reason. The Broadcast Energy Transmitter, or BET, is essentially what it sounds like. It sends electricity through the air to another device in a remote location. Now that sounds good on paper, but look at this thing. The amount of heat and radiation that comes off of it must be enormous.
It's working!
All right!
Stop celebrating, you all just got cancer! Cobra shows up to try and steal the BET, and they have a battle. Duke manages to capture Serpentor, and the rest of Cobra do what they do best: retreat. Cobra Commander says he knows a place where they can seek refuge, and he leads them into the mountains. A squad of Joes catches up with them, and it seems they have them cornered. As the Joes assault Cobra, suddenly a bunch of bugmen wielding sporks and this big purple guy show up and quickly take out the Joes. Cobra Commander apparently knows them, but they don't seem happy to see him at all. Can you blame him? Pythona shows up again and persuades Zartan and the Dreadnoks to help them rescue Serpentor. Cut to Joe headquarters, where Flint is sent out to look for the missing Joes, while 4th in command Beachhead is training some new action figures for you to buy. Our new recruits are Tunnel Rat, who pretty much lives up to his name, Big Lob, who I think is a fan of basketball, but I'm not really sure.
Big Lob makes his move. Big Lob goes for the goal. He cuts cross court, sidestepping the opposition. Big Lob scores! And the crowd goes bananas!
Big Lob will be the only one not made into an action figure after this movie. Then there's Law and his bomb-sniffing dog Order, Jinx, the smart-ass ninja who does the Daredevil thing. But probably my favorite one is Chuckles. He has no speaking lines, he wears a Hawaiian shirt for some reason, and he likes to hurl missiles at tanks with his bare hands. Movie should have been about him. Our final rookie is the slacker Lieutenant Falcon, voiced by Don Johnson. Duke catches him showing an unauthorized person around base, and as punishment he orders him to take guard duty on Serpentor's cell. As it turns out, the girl with Falcon was Zartan's sister Zorana, who was doing recon on the Joe security, and they prepare to rescue Serpentor. Later that evening, Falcon leaves his post to see Jinx, because apparently they've dated. Yeah, that doesn't seem tacked on or anything. Anyway, Cobra breaks in, frees Serpentor, and Gung-Ho, Alpine, and Bazooka get injured during the battle. Jeez, Bazooka has the worst luck in these movies. Because he's left his post, General Hawk orders Falcon to be court-martialed and has him taken away. Alright, so far the movie's been alright. Not great, and it's had a few weird moments, but it's pretty much what you'd expect of a G.I. Joe movie. But now's where things start to go downhill. So they escape with Serpentor in a giant flying caterpillar? What? They enter this place known as Cobra-La, how creative, and they meet this guy who's voiced by Academy Award-winning actor Burgess Meredith.
Pythona tells me I owe you my freedom.
Your freedom and your life. Know that I am Golobulus, supreme ruler of this kingdom of Cobra-La.
Yeah, they just got Burgess Meredith to say that. You know, he must have been under contract or something, because I just can't see him playing a role like this. In fact, I was able to acquire some rare audio of him being told he had to be in this movie.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all. That's not fair. That's not fair.
It was I who created you, Serpentor. You are mine.
No! Serpentor is the product of my genetic engineering!
I implanted the idea and the skill in Dr. Mindbender's rather pedestrian brain with this, a psychic motivator.
What? Now they're just taking credit for Serpentor? No. You can't just do that. You can't show them a little spider thingy and say, oh, well, we implanted this idea in your head. There is no way they're going to just accept this.
I offer you my most enthusiastic obedience.
And we too.
Then, so say we all.
Let's just go see what the Joes are doing. Back at G.I. Joe base, they're in the middle of Falcon's court-martial and are about to reprimand him when suddenly Duke speaks up in his defense.
I just know underneath it all there's a Joe worth saving. Falcon is my half-brother.
With this shocking revelation, the tribunal decides on a different punishment.
You're gonna learn what it means to be a Joe, even if it kills you. I'm sending you to the slaughterhouse.
More on that later, as we still have this retardation to get back to. So Cobra-La is also holding some kind of trial for Cobra Commander, as Golobulus reveals their history.
Let the web of remembrance tell the tale.
Web of Remembrance? Really? So it seems their society that sprung up from God knows what predates man and was ravaged during the Ice Age, forcing their survivors into the Himalayas. Eventually mankind emerged and claimed the planet while Cobra-La just kind of watched with their thumbs up their asses, I guess. What the hell were they doing all this time?
And gradually, they mastered a technology based on inorganic, lifeless substances. Their culture was a travesty of our own noble ways.
Really? And you call steering a flying creature by yanking on its gonads noble? So yeah, did you know all of this existed in the world of G.I. Joe? Because I didn't. Oh, but wait, we have not yet begun to fuck up this franchise, because what comes next is what every Joe fan was waiting for.
And then, a brilliant young nobleman came to my attention. Even though disfigured by a laboratory accident, he was my choice to go into the world, to raise a mighty army, and to destroy the so-called human civilization. You were my hope, Cobra Commander, and you failed me.
Are you serious? You expect us to believe that Cobra Commander all this time was one of these Cobra-La assholes, and now you're pissed because he failed you? First of all, no. Second, even though we never saw his face in the series, you can still see his eyes. He was clearly a human the whole time. Third, according to this shit, he was apparently a scientist, not a military leader, so why the hell would you put him in charge of a military? And apparently he wasn't a very good scientist because he got himself mutated by being a dumbass. And now they're surprised he failed them. You got nobody else to blame but yourself there, Golobulus. Hey, how come you didn't put Batboy here in charge? He's kind of a badass. I can't even begin to comprehend how fucking stupid this is. Congratulations, movie. You've officially ruined G.I. Joe in one fell swoop. Oh, but we're still not done, because next we hear their backwards ass plan to take over the world.
In several hours, These magnificent fungusoids will mature and launch hundreds of giant pods into orbit.
When the pods ripen, they will burst and shower the Earth with enough spores to reduce the entire human race to the level of mindless beasts.
Only those beneath Cobra La's ice dome will be spared.
So your plan is to create a planet full of dangerous and uncontrollable monsters while you all hide under your mountain. Where to begin? Okay, what exactly is your goal here? Are you trying to wipe out the human race? Look, I'm all for evil plans to wipe out the human race, but this sounds like you're just gonna make things worse. What you're doing is feeding every person on the planet steroids and turning them into powerful, mindless creatures that can probably overwhelm and kill Cobra La's forces. Unless, of course, you just plan to stay in your little ice fort for all eternity. And even if this does somehow wipe out the humans, what's next? You gonna repopulate? So far, the only women I've seen were Baroness, Zorana, and Pythona. And good luck trying to get with her. Also, why are they even allowing Cobra to stay? By their logic, they'd be just as bad as any other humans because they use inorganic technology. So why the hell are they still there? That's kind of hypocritical.
This society is a bunch of idiots.
Speaking of hypocrisy, it turns out that they need the BET to activate the pods because they don't work in space or something like that. Hey, this might seem like a dumb question, but have you considered maybe talking to the humans, maybe trying to work something out? I know humans don't have a good track record when it comes to accepting a vastly different culture, but it might be worth a try before going through all this trouble. Or are you just inherently evil? Alright, we need to get back on track here. So they punish Cobra Commander by exposing him to the spores and imprisoning him. Time to cut back to the Joes for something significantly less stupid. Lift Ticket and Wild Bill literally drop Falcon off for his training with Drill Sergeant and part-time professional wrestler Sergeant Slaughter, along with a few other new action figures.
Say hello to Mercer, ex-Cobra Viper who's seen the light.
His hobbies include crocheting and collecting Precious Moments figurines.
Red Dog booted out of pro football for unnecessary roughness.
Also for wearing swim trunks in the showers.
And Taurus, a circus acrobat with a few loose bats in his big top.
But he makes a mean souffle. As Falcon goes off to be whipped into shape, we cut back to Cobra La as Cobra Commander is being brought to the holding cell with the other Joes. They use this opportunity to try to escape, but unfortunately Cobra La is guarded by a Japanese porno, and the Joes don't make it. Cobra Commander stops Roadblock and says he knows another way out.
So what you'll feed? Snakes don't give for free.
Take me with you!
We got a bargain. To play it straight, or there's no doubt I'll turn your eyeballs inside out.
Unbelievably violent and yet so poetic. That's why Roadblock is one of my favorite Joes. The flying purple people eater here tries to stop them by blinding Roadblock, but they still manage to escape.
I was once a man! A man!
Hey, this is your faceplate.
Wait, go back. Show that again? What is all that shit? How the hell did he see out of that? Oh, fuck it.
Was my mask, just as I was once a man.
Oh yeah, this is the one memorable thing from this movie. As Cobra Commander mutates into a snake, he starts losing it and says, "I was a man," over and over.
I was once a man. I was once a man. I was a man. Was a man.
I was once a man.
So while Falcon is training, Duke asks Slaughter to take his men to infiltrate the Terrordrome and get some information about Roadblock's unit. I will say this about this film, it's got one of the first times I remember seeing blood in an animated movie. They managed to destroy the Terrordrome, but the Cobra forces survive. Later on, Cobra and Cobra La forces attack and try to steal the BET in probably the best action scene in the movie.
Bandits at 12 o'clock high! Regroup! Cobra la 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 la.
What the fuck was that?
Cobra la 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 la.
Is that seriously their battle cry? Anyway, Cobra uses their B-movie monsters to overwhelm the Joes and take the BET.
Yo! Cobra!
What was your plan, to kill them with laughter? Stop doing that! Serpentor goes after Falcon, but Duke steps in to stop him.
Die, arrogant Earth scum!
No!
Duke?
After Duke takes one for the team, we get a legitimately emotional moment.
How is he, Scarlet?
Not good.
Promise me you'll try to get your act together. Be a credit to your country.
I'll make you proud. You'll see.
Yo,
Joel. He's gone into a coma.
Yeah, coma. About that. Okay, look at what just happened here. Serpentor stabs Duke with a snake. Ignoring the absurdity of that, he hits him right in the heart, and since it was a snake, we could probably assume it was also poisonous. Then there's this.
How is he, Scarlet?
Not good.
Followed several seconds later by this.
He's gone into a coma.
As far as I know, Scarlet isn't one of the medical officers, so how does she know that? How does she know he didn't pass out or go into shock or, died? Yeah, Duke died. Or at least he was supposed to, but it seems they changed it at the last minute. From what I understand, after the Transformers movie, which was in theaters 1 year prior, so many fans and parents were outraged by Optimus Prime's death that Sunbow changed it so that Duke goes into a coma instead. But apparently they couldn't change the scene, so they just dropped in an abrupt voiceover. It's a shame too, because this was a really good scene. It was an emotional, heroic death that inspires Falcon to better himself. In the original script, they actually held a funeral for Duke. You know, it's amazing that one tiny edit can really just change everything. This could have been the one memorable thing we could have taken away from this stupid movie, but it was ruined because they caved into a bunch of rabble-rousers that couldn't deal with it. Okay, we're close to the end, so let's fast forward a bit. Roadblock runs into Flint's rescue party and tries to warn Hawk about the plants, but it's too late. Flint tells the rookies about the spores and they meet up to free the others.
Uh-oh, aggressive defense. He takes a hit, but keeps coming. Will the clock run out before his mission is complete? No! He shoots! Is it good?
So Big Lob is pretty much the hero of this movie, but he still doesn't get an action figure. Seriously, what the hell? So with all the Joes freed, we finally reach the climax of the movie.
General Hawk, we've got to shut down the BET.
Then let's do it, soldier! Yo, Joe!
Okay, if they're gonna shut down the BET, then we need some appropriate BET shutting down music. They finally reach the BET. Jinx squares off with Pythona, Slaughter takes on the Devil from Tekken, and Falcon goes after Serpentor with some help from Cobra Commander.
This is for Gung-Ho, Alpine, and Bazooka! This is for Falcon! This is for me! This is for Duke! And this is for the U.S. of A!
This is for that ridiculous costume! This is for almost ruining our franchise! Pythona and Batfink are dispatched, and Falcon exploits the major design flaw of Serpentor's air chariot and sends him flying. Then he puts Globulus's lights out and uses the BET to stop the spores, causing it to overload and destroying Cobra La.
Looks like we made it. Men, Doc says Duke's gonna be A-OK. Yo, Joe!
Why, thank you, disembodied voice. It looks like everything's gonna work out. So that's G.I. Joe the movie. Let's break it down. I'll be fair and start with what was good. The animation was great, especially when compared to the TV show. It pretty much got the same treatment the Transformers movie did. There was a lot of great action, and seeing nearly every single G.I. Joe character in this movie was awesome, even though most of them were just in the background and didn't get many speaking lines. However, it's all off-put by introducing some weird concepts, last-minute editing, and some serious continuity problems. One minute they're at G.I. Joe headquarters in America, and the next they're in the Himalayas on the other side of the planet. The real military can't mobilize that fast. The biggest problem, though, is all this Cobra Law bullshit. It comes out of nowhere, their plan is dumb, and it pretty much fucks up the whole G.I. Joe universe. They could have very easily made a movie without having to include any of this shit. Back in my G.I. Joe Resolute video, I mentioned that I liked the live-action movie. It's got flaws, believe me, I know, but at least it tries to resemble G.I. Joe, and it doesn't feel the need to put in shit like this. G.I. Joe the movie marked the end of the Sunbow-produced cartoons. The next G.I. Joe series was produced by DiC Entertainment. Although inferior to the Sunbow series, to their credit, they did try and fix the damage this movie caused and bring things back to the way they were. Duke showed up later on. They brought back Cobra Commander, though they gave him a costume that's somehow dumber looking than the one from Rise of Cobra. Seriously, what's with the snorkel? However, they did end up getting rid of Serpentor, but the good news is Cobra Law was never mentioned again. As for all the new characters, they seem to have been forgotten about. The only one to go on to any success was Tunnel Rat, who appeared as part of the main cast of G.I. Joe Resolute, G.I. Joe Sigma 6, and the new series G.I. Joe Renegades. Though occasionally one will pop up here and there, but that's about it. Oh, and Big Lob eventually got an action figure. In 2010! And it barely even looks like him. Oh, and what, no love for Chuckles? What the fuck? Overall, G.I. Joe the movie was a missed opportunity. It could have been great, but it just got fucked up by poor writing. I hear even Burgess Meredith was upset with the writers.
I should have vaporized them. If I could just find them.
Now, to be fair, the G.I. Joe movie is still not the worst thing in the franchise. But we'll save that for another time. Right now, I feel like we need to cleanse the palate, so I think next time we'll look at something good. You know, I've given Hanna-Barbera a lot of shit before, but sometimes even they can get something right.
I'm just kidding, I've always been a snake.